Okay, so following on from yesterday's video here for Bitcoin, we did see a bit of a pullback to the downside. And what's interesting about this pullback is it still fits right inside its potential bull flag pattern. So in today's video, we're going to be taking another look at the technical analysis for Bitcoin, sharing my thoughts and opinions on what is likely to happen next. Let's roll the intro and get right down into it. Hi guys, welcome back to the channel. Welcome back to another Bitcoin video update. Here we have Bitcoin paired up with USDT. We're on the 4-hour Binance chart. And so as you can see, we're still inside our ascending wedge. And this is unfortunately a bearish pattern, but inside the bearish pattern here, we do have some bullish structures. Of note, we obviously have this one right here, right? So we are inside the lower highs and lower lows parallel channel. Okay, this is kind of what I was talking about yesterday. So yesterday I was saying it's unusual for a bull flag to basically be a triangular wedge, which kind of looks like this. And I was actually talking about an expectation to move down into a new lower low. Okay, it wasn't a guarantee, but was a high probability just for the fact that normally a bull flag would be tilting down. Okay, bull flags do not tilt upwards. We went through that yesterday. And we can also see here, it's be unusual for that to be a triangle pattern. Not impossible, but unusual. And so we actually come back down here into lower lows. And actually, this is now more consistent with a bullish flag. Now, just because we've kind of got a couple of touch points at the top and a couple of touch points at the bottom, there's no guarantee that we break out of here. However, my expectation will be that we probably will. If not, we'll come back down, retest the 50 SMA, 50 EMA if we can't break above our upper trend line here, this parallel channel trend line. If we can't break out of this parallel channel, then we'll come down to our low trend lines of support, also our 50 SMA, 50 EMA, right? So the yellow line that's coming through here, this is the 50 SMA. It's $50,247. The red line is the 50 EMA. That is $50,088. Okay, so if we can't break through and rally, then our expectation will be resistance pushing us down towards the 50 EMA, 50 SMA and low trend line, from which I would then expect us to bounce significantly higher. Okay, so that's kind of where that kind of parallel channel, that kind of bullish flag sits. Now, when it comes to bull flags, the things that you have to consider are, when we are pushing price higher, as in prices going up here, then volume should be increasing, which it is, right? We can see that here. And then when we are inside the actual flag section, okay, so that's the pole going up. When we're inside the flag section, this little bit here with the lower lows and the lower highs, volume has to decrease, right? So as we kind of come on down, volume is supposed to decrease. And as you can kind of see, volume has been decreasing. This is going to set us up for a breakout situation where we will be targeting out a little bit higher in the price chart, right? So it's all fantastic. Okay, it can obviously spook the markets a little bit when we kind of talk about, kind of corrections and price moving down, or you see the market kind of correcting down. But here you can actually see things are lining up quite nicely. Now, where are those price expectations? What are those target ranges? Well, what we can do is we can see that within our, let me actually just go ahead and bring this back up here so we can see that. Within our upper trend line here, you can see that that's going to be our main area of resistance. If I zoom out of this, you can see, right, we're in the higher highs and we're in higher lows. Now, the higher lows are quite steep on the price chart. That gets us into this ascending wedge pattern. Now, the longer that it takes to test that upper trend line, the higher the price ends up being. Okay, so we can see that there's a potential move up towards $54,000, $55,000 now as time has progressed quite a bit, and it will still take some time to get up to this upper trend line where I would expect resistance to be. Okay, so if we do move down to our low trend line to the 50 EMA, 50 SMA, as you can kind of see, we're starting to get rejected there, and we rally on up, the expectation is going to be up towards $55,000, and that trend line okay, before we get rejected, okay? And then rejection can be a number of different things. If I zoom out of this, and I kind of spoke about this a couple of days ago, right, this ascending wedge pattern, which is bearish, could see us with rejecting back down to the low trend line, rallying back up to the upper trend line, back down to the low trend line, back up again, and then of course rejecting to the downside in a really, really big way, because this is a bearish pattern. Now, of course, that's what the bears are going to be hoping for. They're going to be hoping that they just see this volatility within our ascending wedge and that they can drag the price down, which will be significantly lower than the 38,555 in my opinion. But wouldn't be a straight drop, of course. There'll be many, many different moves to the downside on this one, with bounces and all that kind of stuff, right? Because nothing moves in straight lines. So it'll be kind of volatile. But of course, the bulls, on the other hand, are going to be looking at this and be looking for a breakout, right? They're going to be looking at this and saying, look, we want to go up to new all-time highs. Okay, and so they're going to want to kind of break out of this pattern and prevent those bears from tanking the price of BTC. Now, in order to do this, they are going to have to break out quite significantly, because this ascending wedge, as you can see, will remain an ascending wedge until price breaches above approximately, depending on time, well, basically, it'll have to be a new all-time high. So that's still an ascending wedge. That's still an ascending wedge at 66. So we'd have to kind of look at a new all-time high in order to really, truly break out of it. So these are going to be the concerns, I guess, that many investors are going to have, whether the bears are going to take the price of Bitcoin into those lows, or whether or not we're going to have a breakout situation. Now, considering the potential of a number of tests on this trend line, a break of this trend line could still be very, very bullish, and it could take the price action quite high. So it's not necessarily a bad thing for, you know, a little bit more pain maybe on the bear side. But for now, I think we're in a reasonable position, right? We are, of course, in the ascending wedge, which has the potential to get broken. But also, you know, it is incredibly bearish, and we want to be aware that those bears are likely to try and take control of that situation. There's a lot of things going on in the world as well that could potentially have an impact negatively on the price action of Bitcoin. But for now, I think we can really just focus in on the smaller timeframes and the potential here for a break up to the upside of $55,000 or $54,000 to $55,000 after we complete the the bullish bull flag pattern here for BTC. Everything's looking pretty good and is coming up reasonably well for Bitcoin at the moment. And I do not see any reason as to think that this is likely to break on down. Now, I will say though, that if our Bitcoin price action here was to close below the 50 EMA, 50 SMA, that's probably going to be a big breakdown situation, right? So although this bull flag here is looking for a run upwards towards 54, 55, which I do think is like the most likely scenario, the most probable, if we were to break down lower than this trend line of our parallel channel here, lower than the 50 EMA, the 50 SMA, and we come down, you know, significantly lower than $48,000 for whatever reason, then yeah, we're definitely not seeing this pattern play on out, and instead this will be a different structured pattern that we'd have to kind of reassess. Our main support levels here are this trend line and the 50 EMA, 50 SMA. Lose those and everything will have to be reassessed. So just bear in mind that everything's looking pretty positive. We have high probability for a break to the upside toward $54,000 to $55,000. We have to be mindful that if we were to lose these lows around the kind of 50 EMA, 50 SMA at $50,000, then of course that's going to change everything that we've just been talking about, and we'd have to reassess the charts. So let me know what your thoughts are on all of that in the comments down below, and why don't you check out this video right here where JB is going through some interesting data for Bitcoin.